You're watching NDTV 24/7.
Good evening and welcome to the X Factor, the program that takes you behind the headlines. On the show tonight, the phone tapping controversy just keeps widening. Also, what's happening to the weather? These are the headlines tonight. Amar Singh goes to the Supreme Court and attacks the government and Reliance for tapping his phone. The freezing cold across North India is spreading to Bihar and even Kolkata. And Pakistan announced their team opener Yasir Hamid is out because of typhoid. The cricket board announces free seating for the test matches. The phone tapping controversy just seems to be getting bigger and bigger. Today, Samajwadi Party leader Amar Singh took his battle with the government to the Supreme Court. And the list of those who claim their phones were tapped has just got longer, with the BJP joining in.
So far, Amar Singh has not officially named the other Ambani, Mukesh, in the phone tapping wars. But the most ironic dimension in the petition to the Supreme Court today was the listing of the Reliance Infocom as one of the respondents, along with the Congress party. Sources close to Samajwadi Party leaders say that though Reliance Infocom is headed by his good friend Anil Ambani, Amar Singh blames the rival Reliance camp for trying to land him in trouble. Now it's up to the Supreme Court to decide whether to admit Amar Singh's petition, which also puts the Home Ministry and Delhi Police Chief on notice.
दिल्ली पुलिस कहा लिया कि कमिश्नर के पाल को 25 तारीख को हमारे पास कुछ खुफिया विभाग के अधिकारी आए। ईश्वर की अनुकंपा है कि कुछ लोग भी हमसे निष्ठा रखते हैं। उन्होंने कहा कि 10 जनपद के इशारे पर आपका फोन टेप हो रहा है, सर्विलेंस चल रही है।
Now it's up to the Supreme Court to decide whether to admit Amar Singh's petition, which also puts the Home Ministry and Delhi Police Chief on notice. Under increasing pressure, the centre today promised a breakthrough very soon.
3-4 मुलजिम गिरफ्तार किए जा चुके हैं, तफ्तीश जारी है, उनके बयान लिए जा रहे हैं और उस बयान के आधार पर आने वाले समय में कुछ और लोगों की भी गिरफ्तारी की संभावना है.
Joining the chorus of politicians complaining that the phones are under surveillance is the former BJP President L.K. Advani. His party claims his phone was tapped after the Volker scandal broke.
इतना ही कहना चाहूंगा कि इसकी सरकार के द्वारा ईमानदारी से जांच कराई जानी चाहिए और जो भी जांच रिपोर्ट आए उसका खुलासा किया जाना चाहिए.
So far, 3 people have been arrested for tapping Amar Singh's phone, and police are on the lookout for what they call the missing link, the person who forged the phone tap order. The matter is before the Supreme Court. Yet party leader Amar Singh has continued with his tirade against the Congress party. Clearly his objectives are political. But the big challenge before him and his party is to ensure that ideologically opposed forces like the left and the BJP, who have come together on this single issue, remain so for some more time so as to lend more muscle and power to Amar Singh's campaign. In New Delhi with Anasuya Roy, Sandeep Bhushan for NDTV.
And the question we're asking on the show tonight, telephone tapping, is it really anything new? Well, SMS us at 6388 or write to us at feedback@ndtv.com. And joining us on the show tonight, Rajiv Pratap Rudy, Senior BJP leader and former Civil Aviation Minister, Dr. Abhishek Singhvi, the spokesperson of the Congress party, and to give us a different perspective, a non-political one, to be Raman, the former National Cabinet Secretary and well-known expert on. Mr. Raman, let me ask you first, is it really anything new?
No, see, telephone tapping law itself authorizes in certain cases, for example, during the investigation of a terrorism-related case or to prevent an incident of terrorism, etc. The allegation here relates to, I think, unauthorized telephone tapping. From time to time, there have been such allegations. Such allegations are not new. In the past also, people have made complaints. So one has to look into the facts to find out at what extent the allegations are correct. Allegations are not new. In the past also there had been such allegations.
But isn't it also true, you can fill us in on this, that intelligence agencies may have at times in the past as well tapped the phones of politicians and perhaps their political masters don't even know?
No, I do not think so, because there is always a suspicion, not only in our country, all other countries, people, political leaders, from time to time, they do make allegations of unauthorized tapping, illegal tapping. The United States allegations have been made. But these allegations are generally not correct, because intelligence agencies or the security agencies cannot talk to the public in order to remove these suspicions. People will make allegations, but I don't think there are any instances of unauthorized tapping by any agency, either in India or anywhere else in the world.
Now, Mr. Raman, there are many people now talking about having a tougher law on cracking down on telephone tapping. What implications do you think that could have on security then?
No, actually, one thing which I would like to mention is the position has got very complicated ever since we allowed the private sector in the field of telephone services. Because I remember in 1995, when a proposal for allowing foreign investment in telecommunication services was under consideration, I had written a personal letter to Mr. Narasimha Rao, who was at that time the Prime Minister, pointing out the national security implications of allowing private companies in telecom services. And if Mr. Narasimha Rao was also good enough to depute a senior officer to meet me at Chennai and discuss this problem with me. And that's why the Chinese, if you go back to the Chinese experience, for a long time they resisted allowing private companies, particularly foreign companies, in the telecommunication services sector. Because now Samar Singh is making allegations that's being inquired into. I will not be surprised if many of the foreign intelligence officers who are posted in their embassies in Delhi are using private detective companies for tapping the telephone conversations of many of our important leaders through private detective agencies. What has happened to Mr. Amar Singh, if what he says is correct, could easily happen to many of our leaders holding important position. But unfortunately in our country we are not security conscious, our political leadership is not security conscious, so we never went into the question of the national security implications of allowing the private sector into telecommunication services.
Well, that's a completely different angle, Mr. Raman. Thanks very much for that. But getting back to the politics of it all, Mr. Rudy, the BJP today is saying that Mr. Advani's phone was probably tapped as well. Suddenly there seems to be a rash of such allegations coming forward. If that was indeed the case, why hasn't the BJP brought this up before?
Well, if facts have come to light now, someone in the party has pointed it out, but the fact of the matter is quite different. Of course, it's Amar Singh who has brought out this issue because he had factual evidence to show that tapping was going on. And we are not against tapping. If that was so, for long years, there was no cell phone allowed in the valley, and we did not say anything about it till the time the government took a decision.
When you're saying you're not against tapping, are you admitting that maybe your government did the same thing to your rivals?
Let me conclude where have I concluded. I say if it is for a national security or for intelligence or for the security interest of the country, fine. But here, what is the suspicion being raised by Amar Singh, or for that matter any other political leaders? Here is a suspicion which is being raised that is this for a political blackmail? Is it not even for a even if it's suppose not for a political blackmail, can such things be used for a blackmail? Number one. Number two, it also reflects one thing very strongly, that the union government is very fragile because it is on so many coalition partners. Whether is it using its position, or there is a possibility of it using its position to protect itself through such tapping. So the question is, it's a bigger issue, and the apprehensions being raised by all political parties definitely points a finger towards the Congress party, because and we think there has to be some morality involved, because I recall Chandrasekhar's government came down because Rajiv Gandhi was against any sort of not exactly tapping, but any sort of surveillance.
But you say that now, Mr. Advani's phone was tapped during the time of the Volcker controversy. Now that's more than a month ago, so you could have come out with it then.
Well, if some facts have...
Is it that the BJP is joining Amar Singh to gang up against the Congress? It's an issue for you.
No, it's not that what I'm saying. It is an issue which is waking up everywhere now, because Amar Singh brought up this issue, but this has been lurking in the mind of most of the political leaders in this country, that maybe there are instances because they did not have right evidences to prove that this is happening. But an evidence was brought out by Amar Singh. So when an evidence was brought out by Amar Singh, many apprehensions which was lurking in the mind of certain political leaders has come out, and possibly that is true, and that has been happening for this country for a long time. So the question is for the government of the day, the ruling government, which should come out and say openly what it intends to do. Not only the case of Amar Singh, in which cases have been instituted, but this is a very serious matter, and especially for a democratic country like ours. The government of the day should answer the issue, what is happening on the phone tapping issue.
Dr. Singhvi, what is the Congress's stand overall on phone tapping? Do you say it's okay to be tapping the phones or not? Because we've heard Ambika Soni's comments over the last few days. She keeps saying that what does Amar Singh have to hide? The Congress party keeps saying that. But there's been no categorical statement from the Congress on this issue.
No, there have been several statements. There have been statements by me, myself, on your channel. There are 3 or 4 facets which are forgotten. In all this political cacophony, the real hard issues, the serious issues are being overlooked. Number one, there is a technical side to it, a factual side to it, and that is that in this country of 11 crore telephones with over 6 crore mobiles, a large part, almost the entirely predominant part of tapping is going on in the unauthorized sector, if at all. Namely, person A can bribe any level of employee person B in company X, which is a private service provider, and that B in company X can tap your phone for money, for gain, for profit, for enjoyment, etc. That's the bulk of it. What is happening in this entire debate is that you are confusing governmental illegal tapping versus unauthorized tapping. And unauthorized tapping is a whole new huge area in the context of private service providers. That's one. Certainly number two, you need a law, a scheme, a set of guidelines to look into this aspect, because the law up to date has been mainly focused on a regime when there were not so many private service providers. So there is this second aspect, a legal aspect. Should Parliament debate it and create a statute? Yes. At the moment there are only Supreme Court guidelines and some other Home Ministry guidelines in the context of an earlier judgment of Supreme Court.
But should the government be keeping an eye on the opposition?
Not at all. And the government doesn't do it. Today, what do you have? Now that's the third aspect, and that's the political aspect. I don't think this issue has any political ramifications at all, but it is sought to be made into a political issue.
Isn't it already? What happens? Isn't that already happening?
It's happening. Why? Because of the hobby horse of one person. That person has a phone tap. The service provider is Reliance, no connection with 10 Janpat. He brings in 10 Janpat. The persons arrested are three persons, A, B and C, already arrested on a complaint not filed by Mr. Amar Singh initially. In a very proximate period of time, he brings in 10 Janpat, no connection with 10 Janpat. He says 80 lakhs, 60 lakhs, 100 lakhs have been paid, not a shred of evidence. When he has to traverse the length and breadth of this country to awaken the collective amnesia of people like Jayalalitha, Ms. Jayalalitha, Mr. Chandrababu Naidu, Mr. Advani, who for all these years have been sleeping and require the catalyzing influence of Mr. Amar Singh to remember that their phones are being tapped.
So has this,
now, is this a political...
has this become a flashpoint now between you and the Samajwadi
Party? It's not a
Party?
The point is, in this sensationalism of the issue is nothing but rank sensationalism. The real issues are getting crowded. If you are serious, if you are concerned about the solemn issue, then get together and make a set of guidelines. So let me give an example. A set of guidelines would be, number one, each service provider must be penalized with heavy penalties unless he has one designated person and department dealing with all issues of telephone tapping.
Right.
And if any employee of any level does it unauthorizedly, he must be punished. Otherwise, there should be vicarious liability to the top people. That's one issue. Create a law about authorization at the highest levels. Create technological equipment to debate it. All that is constructive work. But not that before you await the outcome of an FIR and investigation, which the police is doing quickly and efficiently, every day you go to the press, every day you have a press conference, every day you go to every chief minister and get them to give you support.
I'm afraid we'll have to leave it at that, Mr. Rudy, Mr. Singhvi and Mr. Raman. Thank you all very much for joining us. But coming up next, something that a lot of viewers are interested in tonight, the weather. It's freezing in North India. What's really going on? We'll have a look.